was shaking, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Disjointed Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Germain. This is the podcast where we ask the question, what does it take to go from a 9-to-5 life to one of creativity? And in the past, you've seen writers on this show, you've seen a lot of comics on this show, but I'm super excited today because I get to have a different type of artist, somebody who was all business, somebody who I always enjoy talking to. That is Cherry Pop Pop Poppins.
Hello.
Cherry is a burlesque dancer here in the Denver scene. I was almost to say Denver comedy scene.
Yeah, I'm comedic, but I'm not a comedian.
You're way more entertaining to watch than most of the people.
Yeah, especially when boobs come out, man.
I didn't say that because I'm a sensitive guy. I don't even see boobs when I see naked women.
Bullshit. I see all the boobs.
A wonderful, unique, intelligent. How disgusting is this so far? I just see.
I'm gonna vomit.
I'm not like those typical guys. I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm actually woke. So
you're so woke. Sorry. This is what we do. You're like, let me finish the fucking intro, Cherry. Shut up.
No, it's just the first time that Cherry's been on the podcast a couple times. So if you go to Disjointed Pod, you can listen to some of those if you were so inclined. And the first time that we spoke, because we met through mutual friend Abby.
Yeah.
Who used to run the Devons, the open mic on Devons on Wednesday, the Crawford and Bear now kind of co-host now. But I remember I'm like, okay, I got to make sure that that I don't come off sounding really geeky. So I'm not going to mention, like, the entire time I'm like, don't talk about Star Wars, don't talk about Batman, don't talk about Star Wars.
I remember that.
Yeah, like 3 minutes of the conversation, you're like, ooh, check out this.
Oh, look at this comic book.
And I'm like, oh, Dad, if you know that about Star Wars, and oh my God.
Love Star Wars.
And I totally dorked out, and then I was like, man.
That was the end of it all.
All right, I'm going to try to not sound like a dork, and usually failed miserably.
Dork it up.
You know what I should probably do is let folks know that we're actually broadcasting live. So, man, you have been super slamming busy.
Oh,
for
God.
the past couple of months.
It never ends. A couple months.
Yeah, the past year or so. Oh, yeah, that's right. I've been trying to get you on for a while now.
Oh, my gosh, yeah.
You're like, nope, doing a thing here in Albuquerque. Nope, doing this thing someplace else.
You're not the only one who's been giving me shit about it. I've had multiple people trying to book me for stuff, and they're like, you're one of the hardest people to get into a show. And I'm like, no, and not really. You're just doing shows the same time I already have shows myself, or somebody's already booked me, so think ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe not think that I'm going to drop everything I'm doing last minute.
Yeah, especially when you're not paying me. Oh, sorry.
Ooh, mic
burn.
Right there.
Oh, I'm not going to drop your mic, but... and by the way, I am a classy prod. You can't edit that shit out. I mean, you can. I don't know, but would you want to?
Hashtag classy. Okay. So that's going on.
Woo.
All right.
My kids are going to be so proud of me.
Oh, exactly. Oh, man. So... actually, let's get right in because we were kind of talking about this, and I'm always really cautious because the show is about folks who go in that 9-to-5 life to win a creativity. It's not necessarily about, hey, this is a time where I could throw everybody under the bus, So, but sometimes there's tough subjects to talk about, and you mentioned as far as like, no, freaking pay me,
Mm-hmm.
And I've kind of gotten to the point now. I mean. There's a lot of showcases I know, like as far as comedy goes, which I need to hit up as many as possible, but I know not all of them really pay, so I don't really mess with those so much, unless it's a friend of mine who's running it and I'm doing it for a favor for a friend.
I have those. Yeah. Sometimes people just need a little extra boost in like a new production or something, and with me being well established in the scene and my name being well known, it helps to have somebody like myself, not trying to boost myself up too much.
No, you've been doing
but to
this
have my name on the marquee or on the poster, sometimes that can draw my fan base to a new venue or to a new show.
Right, and you've been doing burlesque for how many years?
9 years now. It's not that long, honestly, in burlesque years, but it feels like forever.
Well, yeah, because there's
not in a bad way.
But no, there's weird. There'll be like burlesque dancers, and maybe like I might not have ever heard of, but they'd be like, oh, this person, she's been doing it for like 20 years now. And you're like, oh, wow, okay. So there's been this whole community that has actually, I think, become a bit more noticeable over the past like 6-7 years. That's when I
well,
started
we kind of had like a resurgence in the 2000s, but it in the 90s it really started to like crawl out of the caves and like say, I'm still here.
Like when alt music was cool.
What? As a baby, I have no idea what you're talking about. I didn't exist in the 90s.
Apparently, a part of me still lives in it. So
Whatever.
Yeah, I'm not leaving.
Oh, I miss that music though. I really do. Like the grungy emo, like wah wah wah.
That's when. Well, it's so weird. I think this is because these kids today.
Oh, I know. I've been doing that with my own kids.
Is they're like, well, what? So what? Every song talks about stuff. Everything's got feelings. What is that? No, because in the 80s, nobody talked about shit. It was all about, if you wanted to listen to something other than pop, and you were more like, for me, I didn't know anything about like The Cure or anything like that back then.
Me neither.
So it was just pretty much metal for the most part.
Oh, I was a pop girl and I actually listened to oldies a lot. I grew up on like the 50s and 60s stuff in the 90s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I had to listen to Elvis, basically, only the early stuff.
Sorry, your puppy.
I know, Stu wants to be part of the show.
You're so cute.
But no, it was pretty much, if you wanted to listen to metal, it was all glam. So it was all about fast cars, fast women, and saying "fuck you" to authority.
That's what I live my life by.
And then suddenly Nirvana came around, and they're like, "I'm not happy," and like, "I feel stuff."
Nirvana and Nine Inch Nails and Pearl Jam and all those. When I was introduced to those bands in middle school, I was like, "Why are they so sad?" Yeah. I'm like, "Yay, life is awesome!" And then they're like, "Wah wah wah."
And then suddenly, you're right, everything does suck. Oh,
yeah, and then that was about the time where the hormones kicked in too, and then I went through my angsty teenage phase, and I'm like, yeah, everything sucks. Parents don't know shit. And now that I'm a parent with a 17-year-old, 13-year-old, and 12-year-old boys, and they're all giving me that shit, I'm like, you have no oh, no, I'm my mother. Oh, crap. I'm so sorry, Mom. I'm so sorry.
You're right. Well, I think it's weird. That's... I always think that's kind of a biological thing, so that way kids and parents don't want to stick around each other. Like by the time you're like 18, you're like, I need to get the hell out of here. And like, yeah, you need to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, exactly.
You need to go out and experience some stuff and deal with it.
Oh, no, because they already have. Their lives are so horrible.
Oh.
Anywho, hi, how you doing? Let's talk about strippers. Strip in.
Yes, shall we? Let's talk about strippers, titties, pro or against.
No. Pro. There is no against ever. All titties are good titties.
There's going to be some hipster dude who's like, I don't really like breasts so much. I think that they're overrated.
Well, asses are good too. I love a good pair of thighs. Shit, knees. There's some pretty knees out there.
I've never been attracted to somebody's knees.
You haven't seen mine up close then, I guess. These are working knees. They've got some wear and tear on them. They really do.
We were talking a little bit about I was at I was doing some writing I wanted some place to think. And for some reason, I needed to find something that was going to distract me. And nothing's more distracting than a bunch of curvy girls going out there shaking their money makers.
Amen.
So I was in the back, and I'm just like, all right, I'm just writing and stuff here. And I said hi to Cherry as I was walking in. You were having a conversation with somebody, and I saw maybe a little bit of and you were back because you were in there.
Boss lady mode.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, oh no, she's working. That's not a thing. So as a result of that, I make it a point to steer clear of you.
Oh no!
Because it's I know I'm at one point because I love talking to you.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna want to talk to you, but I know that that's not a good time. That's not a good time to talk to you.
It's so weird. Like you're in that hyper social situation, like a show, and you think that it's I can just go and talk to them anytime. But a lot of people, the muggles of the world, have no idea that when I get to a show, I have a certain headspace. I'm trying to be professional. I've got to think about my act. And did I bring all my costume pieces? Does my music play? And if I'm the one running the show, is everybody here?
Right.
What the hell? Why isn't the sound guy here yet? And there's all this stuff going on. So when people come up to me and I'm like, and I just run away. They're like, "Oh man, she's a bitch." And I'm like, "You don't understand. You have no clue." And then what the worst time too is right after a show, because I don't know about everybody, but right after a show, there's only a few things I want to do. Pee, which is usually the first thing. Get a drink and have a smoke or something like that and get out of my headspace for like 10 minutes.
Right.
But I always have that one guy or that one gal that comes up to me and is like, how can I get involved in burlesque? I'm like, can I just have a moment? Like, just give me one moment. And then, I mean, I'm human and sometimes I forget.
Yeah.
And sometimes I walk away or I get involved in a conversation. But then even that, they're like, oh, God, she didn't even make time for me. Like, I don't owe you shit, people. I just showed you my tits. For free most of the time. And I don't owe you shit.
See,
but I'm the asshole.
This is why these things are so important. So folks can understand. They're like, hey, she's busy. No,
that's the horrible life of an artist, though, because we don't have like a steady paycheck. We're not famous. We don't get recognized or accolades a lot of the time for what we do. Therefore, our art is diminished or it's unappreciated. And therefore, when we do ask to get paid, why do you have to get paid for sitting on your ass?
Right.
Oh, well, while I'm sitting on my ass, I'm rhinestoning a shit ton of costumes or altering or sewing, and this costs a lot of freaking money. And you're telling me that my 3 minutes on stage isn't worth $60? Go fuck yourself.
You heard it here first, everybody.
Go fuck yourself.
Well, this is because I'm going to try to stay slightly on track with my line of questioning. Which
yes, I'm all over the place.
Well, no, this means
I really am. I'm chaos.
Yeah. Well, I just figure you got a lot to say. That's what it is. No, yeah. Well, there's for me, like post any type of set, even like if it's a showcase, it's in front of a crowd. There's like an adrenaline dump that happens afterwards.
Oh, yeah, totally.
And so you're just like, all right, body's like, all right, we've been going at all 8 cylinders, full tilt for the last whatever, since if the show started at 7:30, since 6:30, you're like laser focused and stuff, and afterwards you're like, all right, I need to step away.
You got that adrenaline rush, and then I crash real quick too.
Yeah.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
I'm also kind of lucky. My sweetie, my wife. She knows me, so I really, really lucked out, and I think you probably lucked out, too.
Oh, yeah.
With your sweetie, that they understand. They're like, okay, I know I do love Dave, but I know I'm going to want to kill him for the next hour and a half because he's going to want his space. And afterwards, he's probably going to ask me 15 different, 1,000 questions about what I thought about it, so now I have to pay attention to the show.
God, yeah. I ask Mark, hey, do these rhinestones look good on this guy? He doesn't fucking know or care. God.
But this is you looked at him up close. I need you to pay attention 15 feet away from the stage and also 30 feet away from the stage and let me know what it looks like and also such and such. And you're like, oh, God. But because they care about us so much, that's the reason why I don't ask Jenny to come to too many performances, just because I'm like.
Oh, and I know Mark gets bored. I mean, he's like, yay, boobs, yay, but I don't care about anybody else's but maybe yours and another pair or two. Yeah.
And there's which isn't bad, but there's 50 boobs at 25. Okay.
Or when you hear the same jokes over and over again, I used to be a part of the comedic circuit for a long time and loved a shit ton of comedians, but after a while you're like, oh, this joke's so good. And then you're like, yeah, then you're practically saying it with them, and you're like, oh, fuck. That's the dickest move. You talk about being a heckler, finishing a comedian's joke for them while they're doing it, that's a douchey thing. It was getting to that point sometimes where you're just like, okay, I need to step away. I need to go do something else.
This comics, they're phoning it in tonight. Hold on for a second. Everybody, guys.
It was getting that way with Anthony Crawford because God loved him so much, especially when he first came out in the Denver scene. Oh, yeah. And I was at Devon's all the time. And he'd do his awesome fucking jokes. And the one he was doing about the Hunger Games. Oh, yeah. And all that. And I was so in love with that joke. And I kept going, oh, my God, you guys, you got to hear this. You got to hear this. This is so good. It was so bad, though. I was like, I got to stop. I got to walk away for a while.
It's kind of weird because I think with a lot of the comics, with Crawford, because I've seen him so many times, like Bear and Jake and stuff like that. Those are the guys I tend to hang with most. That we've known each other so we pretty much know each other's acts, pretty much backwards and forwards and stuff. So now it's I'm not listening for the jokes. I want to hear what the audience reaction, what they changed about it. But yeah,
it's the same way with burlesque with our acts,
really,
because you have a catalog of performances that you do, certain costumes or certain songs or certain characters or whatever. And after doing this for years and years and years, you build up quite a catalog, and sometimes older acts get left behind for a little while, put away, and when you bring them back out, people are like, "Oh my God!" Either I haven't seen that in years, or "Oh, I love your new act." Actually, this is like 4 years old, and I just dusted it off and brought it back out. But I mean, sometimes people hear an old joke, I'm sure, and they're like, "Oh, that's so good. Oh man, that's some old shit. I was just trying back out again, you know." So, like, you can't always think that their old stuff is bad. Sometimes I bring out my old stuff just because I missed it,
Well,
or I'm in a rut. I can't think of anything new.
Oh, totally. Well, there's that. I definitely have experienced that. Or sometimes, like, if it's like there's certain jokes that, like, my racist special needs teenager joke or a bit that I had, which I've done it zillions of times and stuff. But if it's a crowd that I haven't seen before, I'm like, ooh, let me get a chance to work this out and see what their reaction is, But for the most part, like, I've got that, and the getting dissed by an old lady joke. That was the other one. But yeah, it's kind of weird when I'm like, oh, wait a second, new crowd.
Oh, yeah. Well, I definitely have those acts where I pick certain acts because of certain venues or the type of audience that is attracted to those venues.
So if it's like a geeky crowd, you're like, all right, time to bust out Zelda.
Hell yeah. Or Napoleon.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now that you're not coming straight off of a performance, I'll ask this question so that way when somebody asks you, you can point them to this video. So because Papa needs the hits, and so one of the things that I had Chuck Roy on a little while back, and he teaches a comedy class, and I've seen the students and the work they do, and I'm like, wow, this is a really good class, because of the results from the folks that I've seen. And we're talking about, like, what's a thing to look out for, because there's plenty of people out there that are willing to dream sell somebody, and to take somebody's money for quote unquote classes when they're really just trying to get $500 out of them, and So I imagine there's a lot of young, or actually women of all ages and stuff, that they see you on stage and they're like, how can I do that?
Yeah,
how can I do
I want to do that. I could do that. Yeah, we could all do that, but can you do it well?
Yeah,
that's the question, really.
Well, there's an art to it, and there's this strange thing with, like, the art of dance in general.
Yeah, I don't dance. I just perform. It's funny because I'm not a very good dancer at all, but I know how to strut and move and pose. Which is dancing.
Like, I'm not a dancer either, but I can attract at least a couple of girls out there if I start, if I go out on a dance floor.
You see me in a club on the floor dancing, you're like, that girl's a burlesque dancer?
You're like, yes.
No. Well, not a dancer.
Well, burlesque dancer sounds better than burlesque
we say just burlesquer, burlesque performer. Burlesque dancer is totally a great term too, but I'm like, I don't dance. I'm not, because there are burlesque performers that are amazing dancers, amazing choreographers. I mean, not so much. No, that's not one of my strong points. Maybe someday.
Yeah, it's a work in progress.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Well, I think before we get back on, like, in the
something to watch out for, though. Like, stop doing it for free. I know we were talking about this earlier. Stop performing for free, because I can tell you right now, it doesn't matter what the venue is, they're getting money. Like, the bar, especially if they serve alcohol, they make money.
Yeah.
And when they are like, oh, we'll give you 2 free drinks if you're lucky. 2 free drinks and some exposure. We'll put your name on a poster. That doesn't pay my bills. Like, that doesn't put more costumes in my closet. That doesn't put gas in my car. Like, thank you very much. I appreciate you buying me two drinks that, honest to God, probably cost you 10 cents out of your bar. That's just a slap in the face. Like, I don't care what you're doing as an artist, whether it is telling jokes or singing or playing music or stripping. Like, doesn't matter what the art is, it is worth money. And you're taking time out of your life to go and work for a venue or for a producer or whoever. And the fact that they're asking you to do it for free is a slap in the face, or for tips. Because that's not a guarantee either. And if you're doing shared tips aren't a bad thing when you have, like, maybe 3 or 4 performers. But when you have, like, 10 or 15 and you walk out of there with $5 in your pocket, That's stupid when I probably spent that much money or more in gas just getting there and getting home. So we as artists set that precedent too, though. If we don't put our foot down and say we're not performing for free, we're not doing this for free anymore, there will be change made. Like over time, if we stand united and we revolt, like they have to change their attitude about it. They really do, because there might be somebody behind us saying, "Oh, I'll do it for free," but they're not going to be very good, and you are going to get what you paid for. I've gone to many shows that they have like a free cover or a cheap cover, which is fine. I do a monthly show where there's no cover. It's a small venue, but I have a guaranteed flat rate that I pay all my girls or all my performers. And so regardless of how well the bar does, my performers get paid.
Right.
Everybody gets paid. So that's the way it should be. If you're not going to do a cover, then just make sure everybody gets paid. Not only that, but I mean, come on, like most bars make whatever you pay your performers within the first 10 minutes of the bar being open. It's so stupid. Like your average patron, it's like $30 to $40 that they pay out of pocket. That's like one performer, one performance, like it's stupid. Right. So performing for free, it's because you're not willing to stand up for yourself. You're not willing to give your art value.
I think there was this, this is an idea for a premise that I've been working on. Is everything always comes down to somebody's ability to get laid. Like most of the insults and stuff like that. Oh, so-and-so, it's because they can't get laid. Or look, those protesters, it's people who can't get laid. Left, right, center, doesn't really matter. But, like, okay, that is an important thing in here as far as the first thing for setting value to anything, I think, kind of starts with yourself. Yeah. And for the longest time, I didn't know that as a young guy. It wasn't until I got, in my mid-30s to 40s that I kind of realized, oh, no, what are you doing? My dog is crying for some reason. Yeah.
What are you doing?
Like, I don't know, trying to get attention.
No, but I totally understand that, because for a long time in the beginning of my career, I just thought of myself as another big girl trying to stand up with the skinny, pretty showgirls.
Right.
And that because I was a plus-size performer, that my art and my value wasn't worth as much as theirs was.
Right.
Which is a total bunch of bullshit.
Right.
Because it did. It takes. I think everybody goes through that phase in the beginning of any career that they have any sort of passion about. Mm-hmm. They get that little bit of baby steps going, and they're like, do I really think that this is something that people are going to take me seriously with? Like, it took, I don't know, probably until I got accepted into my very first burlesque festival that I was like, oh shit, there are multiple people that like what I do and that they think I deserve to be on a bigger stage than I'm at. And as that kept going and I kept getting more recognition for my art, that really helped boost me as well. And then, of course, like when I won my first award and, like I cried like a beauty queen and like, the ugly cry, like, oh my God, you really like me. I mean, it does help. It sounds stupid, but it does help to get those accolades and that recognition from your peers.
No, totally. Well, I think in the sense of what it takes to actually setting value to something, because I've seen because I'm a little bit older, but we're kind of
just a little bit.
But there is you'll see I'll see folks like in their 20s, and they're I can't ever find a girl, man. I just can't ever do it. I don't understand. I'm like, yeah, because
they're everywhere, though.
Yeah, you're not attracted because you don't think that you're worth anything.
Yeah,
and not in an egotistical sense, like, oh, my dick cures cancer. Not like that.
Yeah,
but like, if you don't think that you're worth anything, the only people that you're ever going to find are people who will agree with you. That,
exactly.
your shit ain't worth anything.
Yeah,
and
you attract whatever you put out there.
Right. So, I think when it comes to like after a while, I'm like, listen, I know that I'm not like a supermodel, but I've got some skills that are pretty awesome. So like cooking and stuff like that. Don't get a dirty mind. And as a result, like when I made that change, that idea about myself, the type of girls that I was attracting changed dramatically. It was like almost overnight. So when I hear things like artists and stuff, I'm like, you can't be asking a bar for $500, man, in order to do a show.
That's not true at all,
no,
actually.
You could, yes, you can.
Yeah.
Because you say this is something where we're going to build with, and you budget, that, and then it is possible. But the thing is because they don't think that they can do it. Like such and such, that's not worth X amount of dollars. I'm like, no, your set isn't worth X amount of dollars. Mine, on the other hand, is.
That's also the difference between like knowing the business aspect too. I get really sick and tired of these so-called performers thinking that they can jump into producing, and producing is not just throwing a set list together and music. Right. There's a lot more aspect to it, and they don't understand that. And
there's the promotion aspect of it, which is like a full-time job.
The whole business of knowing like how to get money, how to make sure to that money that check doesn't bounce.
Right.
Because that's happened to me twice.
Ooh.
And I had money come out of my pocket because I try to pay my people out, and then I end up paying myself back.
Right.
So that's just the way business is. And as a producer, you've got to be able to expect the losses too. And a lot of people, I think they don't have either a business mindset or know about business in general, and they're not willing to work for it. They want the accolade of producer.
Right.
They want the title, but they have no idea what the hell they're doing.
I think that's a human thing, though.
That we know more than we really do.
Yeah, no, I remember because when I was a server, just going and like talking about food service and stuff, right?
I've done it, been there.
I thought that I could fix every problem in the restaurant, and I knew what the managers weren't doing right, and all this other stuff. And then I became a manager, and then I realized that there's a lot more to it, that the art of leadership, which took me a while to kind of figure out. And I'm like, okay, there is a way to fix these things, but it's a lot more difficult than what I thought it was, And there was also, the problem never comes from just one area. It's actually 5 different things that converge into this one. It's like always this.
Oh, yeah.
It's strange. So I think when it comes to, and I'm an example of this right now, talking about, like, because I'm not producing any shows at the moment. So I'm like, this is the problem with all these comics and stuff. But that hopefully will change soon. But the thing is that you've made that change from being just a performer to actually somebody who's actually taking the driver's seat and stuff. And with that comes a whole lot of issues and stuff like dealing with confrontation and stuff, how to do it effectively. Sometimes you're not always good. I found this out when I was managing guys. You're not going to be the hero in every story. Sometimes you're the villain.
I'm always the bad guy. That's in my personal life and my professional. I'm always the bad guy, which is just fine. Just fine. Because at least I'm standing up for myself now, because it took a long time before I really started standing up for myself. And honest to God, like we were talking about me starting to produce again, and the main reason I started producing again was because I was sick and tired of not getting paid and not having my fellow performers getting paid what they're worth. So that's why I found a venue who was interested, and I was like, okay, well, here's what it's going to take. Here's how much money I want. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's no problem. Whoa, what?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. And now I'm like doing a monthly production, paying everybody a decent wage, and like trying to lead that example for everybody else to do. So it is possible. You can do this. The only person that's really holding you back is yourself, and you're letting the bar do it too. Like, why? You want to like not get paid and then bitch about it? You go for it, because I'm not doing that shit anymore.
Well, I think the other, a tougher aspect it would be is that at some point you're gonna have to upset your friends.
Oh yeah, I have them because I do small productions, so I hire 4 performers besides myself, and I do have performers that I have worked with for years, and I like their art, and I can count on them to be professional, and they're on time, and they're appreciative. And they have no drama.
On time, you say?
I know.
Like
what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And there are tons of performers in my community that I absolutely adore as well. And not saying that they're not good or they're not any of those other things as well. But I've only done 2 shows so far. And I have tons of people knocking at my door saying, oh, book me, book me, book me, book me. Yeah, I would love to book everybody. I really would. And then when I tell them, oh, well, if I do book you, it probably won't be for a show until next year. And then they look at me like, well, why not? Why not? Well, it's not because I don't want to or I'm pushing you away. It's because I've either already committed to these next shows or I don't know if I'm going to have a show next month.
Right.
I have to take it 1 month at a time because it's a very small venue. And a lot of people, they're not thinking about the producer aspect. They're thinking about, oh, you're my friend.
Yeah, no, that's not that. You know what? There's the dichotomy of showbiz. That
so much fun. You guys should all do this.
Yeah.
We're gluttons for punishment, man. I love getting kicked in the boobs. It's great. I don't have balls, so we get kicked in the boobs.
Yeah, ovaries would be too harsh.
So, they get enough fucked up shit happening to them every month, all right?
Last thing I need is your Doc Martens. Right. So, on the one hand, there is the truth to the friends. If you surround yourself with the right people, you kind of end up supporting each other through various degrees and stuff. But that's assuming you surround yourself with the right people who are like-minded and business-wise and all that other stuff. Hey, Lisa, 1992 on Twitch. How
There's
you doing?
somebody watching me?
Yeah.
Hi.
I can't always say.
Hi.
Don't you'll get us pulled.
It wasn't my nipple.
We're not allowed to do that.
It was extra cleavage, okay?
In that case, for my own
shut
sanity.
up.
Listen, my IQ drops when I see a certain cup size. All right? I'm trying to stay focused
Whatever.
on this.
I still am covered up more than most women are in a fucking bikini, all right? So don't you dare judge me from my cup size.
It's not judging, trust
You're just
me.
jealous.
I'm trying now. I got to focus on this guy the entire time.
I covered it back up.
I know, thank you.
God.
Put it back in the holster.
See,
Oh my
they
God,
didn't even
Terry.
see it. Whatever.
Just like what? Somebody's watching. It was,
Somebody's watching me?
No,
Let me
the
pull
first
my
thing you
titty
said.
out. Well, I do have a one-track mind. Yeah. I really do.
See, Stu gets upset by titties.
Swam.
No.
Oh, well, you haven't seen mine, baby. Hi, sweetheart.
Okay, what we were talking about before I was derailed by Cherry's sweet boobie. So on the aspect is that if you're surround yourself with like-minded people, yeah, you can't. Those people can't be supportive of each other.
Yeah.
But not necessarily everybody has the same drive, and maybe one person doesn't want it as much as the other person does. So as a result, maybe that person's not pulling their weight. Oh, maybe I don't book that person. Like, wait a second, now suddenly feelings get hurt, and I'm like, I don't think you understand unless you can match the psychoticness that's in my eye about like how much I want this.
my constant twitch that I have. Yeah,
exactly. Then maybe this might not be the thing. But let's say if somebody does do that. Oh, they're my friends. I'm going to book that person. We're in Denver, Colorado right now. Where are you from, Lisa? 1992 on Twitch.
You have so much better eyes or better glasses than I do because I can't read any.
Yeah. I was just taking a glass from it. There's a delay.
It's just I have multiple friends that are performers who I absolutely adore as people, but they're not my cup of tea as a performer,
Right.
like their style. And I know that I'm not everybody's cup of tea either. They might enjoy me as a person, but my performance style or even my body type might not go with the venue. Like, fuck you, certain cities that don't like boobs that are homegrown.
Oh, Las Vegas. Speaking of which.
I love Las Vegas. It's not actually, never mind. I love Las Vegas. I go there a couple times a year. It's great. I'm actually working on trying to get some dates out there soon. So.
Hey, there you go. So she'll be coming out to you soon. But the thing is that when somebody starts putting their friends up who maybe not necessarily should have gotten that spot, that's when suddenly the scene suffers because of that. Yeah. So then it becomes a choice, I think, or a cross between like, do I worry about my show, and kind of like, sorry, friends. Yeah. But I'm not going to book a subpar show. I want everything to come out to be super stellar. I want everybody to crush,
Well, I mean, when you're a producer, it's my production. I'm putting my name on this. Right. So everybody that I book or even hire like to do sound or lighting or the bar itself is tied to my name. So say I have a friend who owns a bar who really wants burlesque. So I'm like, all right, let's do this. We get an agreement. I book everything. Everything goes great. And then some of my fans come to this bar, it's a brand new bar, and one of them gets roofied. or somebody gets assaulted. That instance is going to be tied to my name because that is my show. And so you got to be really careful about where you book, who you hire, everything. There's so many elements that people don't think about because it takes one instance, one bad thing to happen to screw up your entire name.
Yeah, totally.
And it's been happening recently too in the burlesque community. There have been instances that people get called out for bad behavior or saying something that everybody didn't agree with, and I'm not going to go into it, but like it totally ruined their career or basically ostracized them to the point of limiting their career pretty heavily. People won't work with them.
You know, one of the things I think that's maybe because I miss from the whole theater aspect and stuff, but it seems like the burlesque community still has on there is
we're all about drama.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's the thing I loved and hated about theater,
right?
Because the drama I think in the comedy scene is way more passive aggressive. Where they're just kind of like,
well, you guys will just write jokes about each other and then laugh it off. But here in the burlesque community, we're like total bitches. We will talk shit about you. Apparently, like not me, because
how can I get this bitch to have an eating disorder? All right,
no. It's more not about like really just shit talking somebody. It's like, how can I get them blacklisted?
Well.
And trust me, there's plenty of performers in the Colorado community alone that I'm like, how the hell are you still booked? And I will be a bitch about you because y'all know who you are and you need to shut your fucking mouths. Because, it's okay to have your opinion. I believe everybody's allowed to their opinion, but know when to give it.
That's a big thing, too. And I'm going to say this for those of you who are raised on reality TV.
Not everybody gives a shit what you have to say.
Exactly. The whole idea when I hear, like, I speak my mind, I'm like,
that's great. Do it in your bedroom.
Yeah. Or
not on the interwebs.
Well, just understand there's a consequence at some point that'll happen. Like, there was this kid who was working. This is back when I was working at Macaroni Grill, and this kid was just shitty on the pantry. Most of the time I would go back there and make my own shit anyways because it was faster, and he would get really upset. I'm like, get the fuck out of my way. Yeah. I'm trying. I don't know. So he would just start doing these little sniping comments and everything, right? And at one point, like, I'm trying to take an order, and I'm getting slammed because we're understaffed and stuff. And he still wants to talk shit about some soup and everything. And, this was ready, and it's getting cold up in the window as I'm taking an order. And then I, got really aggressive. Like, it came pretty close where it was going to turn violent, which isn't a good thing about me. But the whole thing is he was like, he kept instigating this, right? So I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to raise the stakes now because this is what dumb guys do. And then he was like, what do you talk? Why did you get so aggressive? I'm like, oh, do you not understand that this is how human beings work? And I don't think that he did. And to try to look at it from, a non-broy point of view is that, he does not know that this is how things work with human beings, that this isn't over the internet. This isn't over Twitter. This is when you're face to face with somebody and you're being a dick to them or being an asshole to them. There's a good chance they're going to be a dick back.
You and I grew up still in that tail end of the.
Thanks, Lisa.
What? Hi.
They're just saying that we're cool.
Oh, thank you. You and I grew up on that tail end of right before the technology wave hit, where we had computers and we could shit talk from the other side of a screen.
Right.
Because back in the day, you had to deal with the consequences of if it came down the grapevine that you were talking smack about Susie's going to come smack you down the next day at school. You didn't have the ability the anonymity of a computer screen.
Right. If you want to know what we're talking about, just watch the movie Heathers.
Oh, I love that movie. It's so good. I heard they're making a musical or a remake or something. They're going to fuck it up, I'm sure. Fucking Netflix.
No, because they're going to try to be really PC about it.
Oh, yeah. Because if anything, 80s movies were totally like PC. And
Well, it's
God, I missed the gratuitous nudity of like the 80s movies where you could show a nipple and nobody was up in arms about it.
Well, yeah, that was the whole point of that's the only reason for a lot of those movies you would watch them. Like, because in the first half hour, there was maybe a little bit of nudity, just some boob and stuff, which was, you had to like just memorize what that looked like and like wait till you got home. You're like, oh, that was great.
Not me. I didn't know about that. No. Sorry, I don't have a penis.
You're better off, trust me.
Anywho, hello.
There was this idea that I had, like, when I wasn't kidding when I said, like, my IQ drops if I see a certain amount, like...
Well, I get a little flabbergasted myself if I see a beautiful specimen of humans. So,
well, it's crazy in the fact that there's a certain combination, a certain lock to every... I'll just speak for guys, because I don't know. Obviously, contrary to what my cousin says, I'm not a woman.
There's nothing wrong with being a woman.
Nah, just because I'm emotional, and he's like, "Hey, bitch," and I'm like, "Shut up, man."
Hey, shut up! You act like that's a weakness.
He knows he's kidding. Just we have a strong tradition of
not
misogyny.
say that shit to me, man.
He probably will.
I'll smack you down.
And he'll say it lovingly, but
it's all good.
So. But there's a different combination to every guy. And it's a bust to hip to waist ratio, and it doesn't matter what that woman is as a person. She could be the most hateful or the most beautiful person, but if you see the right shape of ass or the right cup, and you just you lose your shit, and it's scary because I don't know if you went to college or if you got an education or you devoted your life to medicine, to science, to poetry. None of that shit matters.
It's just animal instincts.
Yeah,
you immediately go into I need to spread my seed.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's the scariest thing. And sometimes I'm older now, so I don't have as much testosterone pumping through my brain as I used to. So I could realize when it's happening. But before, when I was younger, I didn't realize it was happening until it was way too late, until I have made such an ass of myself. Or I've made, even worse, made people feel uncomfortable, and I'm like, oh, okay, I need to go.
Oh, I know all too well about those things because, I am a breast dancer, so I deal with that all the time. It's so funny because in the 9 years I've been performing burlesque, I get more groping and inappropriate behavior from women than from men. Yeah, for some reason, ladies, I love you, but it is if you don't think it's okay for a random man to come up and grab your ass, what makes you think that it's okay for you to do it? It's not okay. I get groped, I get slapped on the ass, I get touched inappropriately from women more than men any day.
I think in this, I would say get it out of your system now, because in 100 years that's probably going to change, ladies. Because as things how do I put this without sounding like an asshole? I'll just say it.
Be an asshole. It's all good.
I think really what it is that there's a lot of gals out there who are not used to being told no. Or even
yeah. Oh yeah.
And so there is a thing when
because we both have the same parts, it's okay to do that. That's what my feeling is if you're a beautiful woman, if I come up to you and say you're a beautiful woman, it's acknowledging you and not being a bitch about it, therefore I grab your ass.
Oh. Hey, does that mean I grab other guys' dicks then?
Go for it. I would love to see that.
Well,
pervert.
We'll see
party of one. Trust me, I love that shit. No, but it's just about consent. When I MC in my own productions and stuff, I do talk about the number one rule above all else is do not touch my girls. Mm-hmm. Do not. Consent is sexy as hell. Whenever you have somebody come up to you and say, you're so beautiful, or you're this, and your ass, can I touch it? I have the right to say no. And if you get offended by me saying no, then you'll fuck yourself. 9 times out of 10, I'm feeling generous and I'll let you do it. But
all right, one hand, only part of the cheek,
But to be asked, though, it's taking it a step further in saying you have the option. I would like your permission. And it's kind of sexy when somebody wants your permission to do something to you.
This brings up an interesting topic. So, Mo Vita, who was on a couple of weeks ago, and she was talking about the story that she was at a bus stop, and this older guy came up and struck up a conversation with her. And I think she was on her way to go to get a drink somewhere, and meet her friends and stuff. And he's like, "Do you mind if I come along?" Because he wanted to talk to her and everything, and just hanging out and stuff. And so Mo's telling this story later to some younger gals, and they're like, "Oh my God, was he just a creeper? You must have felt so unsafe?" And she was like, no, before Tinder, idiot. This is how you had to get laid.
Exactly. I think that I am honestly in that category of millennials, but I hate that term anyways, but just because of when I was born, not necessarily my mentality.
Right.
But the generation now that does the Tinder and the Grinder and in all that other shit, the social apps, I'm so glad I never had to worry about any of that shit. Like, no, even like 6 years ago when I met my boyfriend, that was like on the very beginning stages of all that stuff. Even like the internet dating and things like that. It was like I met them in an AOL chat room. Yeah, it wasn't like a Match.com or any of that other crap. I don't know how people think that is a healthy way to meet. Oh, because there's an algorithm. It's saying that you and I match well because we filled out a survey. Honestly, like you filled it out really. Can't you just get back to the nitty gritty where you really find out who somebody is like a week later after you've already slept with them and moved in, and let's get back to the true ways of dating, okay?
Oh my gosh, that doesn't sound familiar to me at all. I don't know where that would happen. By the way, if anybody was watching this video, my cat was trying to get my attention. I wasn't looking because I was just realizing.
Laughing at your penis?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, this is crazy, right?
That's right. I've been laughing at my vagina, and petting it apparently. Hi, baby.
Those are the
It was the dog. It wasn't the cat, though.
Yep.
The bitch likes me better than the pussy. So.
Stu.
Hey-oh.
This isn't the time to do that, Stu.
Well, I think it's always the time, but
well, no, I think it's kind of weird though. Isn't it? You think that might? How is that going to affect, like, the social aspect of the future? When the fact that it used to be, if I want to find a girl that I find attractive, I had to I had to plan out. Where do I go and find these type of girls? Where are they outside at any point in given time? Are they at
take a class, join a club.
Right, and that's
what happened to that? Like, I feel like everything's going to get to the point where it's all arranged marriages,
right?
Based on class and income and all that
Netflix series.
Yeah, are you within 5 miles of where I grew up?
But that's one of those things that was kind of weird. Now, if you think about it, because if you're searching as a biological being. I'm searching for a mate. I had to go out and basically hunt for a lack of a better term. But now they've made it so much easier, and which in some cases it's helpful. I'm not shitting on the social dating sites, but
if it works for you, great. I met my only ex-husband literally in an AOL chat room. So thank you, internet, for that.
I can't talk too much shit because I met Jenny on Plenty of Fish.
Oh, so, there's nothing wrong with it. If it works for you, yay. But I think that it's sad that people feel like it's the only option for meeting people now.
Oh, yeah. No, and I agree with that. I think, but I mean, for me, I'm like, listen, I'm going to talk about dorky shit. So let me put a minute dorky shit on my profile because there's nothing worse than, you get to know somebody, you've spent a week with them, and then they start talking more, and then you're like, oh, my God.
If I acted the way I act now,
right.
6 years ago when I first met my boyfriend, it would not have lasted. My crazy would have been so overwhelming, it's not even funny. You got to let the crazy out little by little.
But when it comes, you hid who your true self was.
Yeah, hid who you really were.
Don't ever be open and honest about nothing.
That's what I mean about the whole social media aspect and the dating sites and things. Nobody really fills that stuff out honestly, and it doesn't take into consideration. Oh, maybe I'm having a bad day, or maybe I got cut off and I'm bitchy and they don't take into consideration that you're not always going to get along and you're not always going to like these things or have these opinions, or maybe you change your political affiliation, or maybe I decide I don't want to have children or something like that. Right. They don't take into consideration the humanity of it, the option to change who you are over time.
Well, that's why you got to update that shit. I mean, you can't just go. Take some work there.
Well, that's why my first marriage ended. So my first. Why am I acting like I'm married in my only marriage?
Because you've been with the same dude for 6 years.
Yeah. Well, the first long-term relationship. I met him when I was 20.
Right.
That was super young. That was my starter husband. Got that one out of the way. We changed so much over time. I was 20. He was 21. And even from that time till we got to our mid-20s, we changed so much. Not necessarily for the better or for the worse, we just changed as people. And sometimes it just doesn't work out anymore. And I do believe that I think I've talked to you about this before, that I believe that every relationship, whether it's a friendship or a lover, every relationship has an expiration date. Right. People come into your life when you need them the most, and they leave when you don't. That's just the way I believe things. Like, I have friendships that come to me when I really need them, and sometimes it just ends, and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It just happens. So we change, or we just outgrow each other, or locations change. Like I move away, or something. Things change. But it's not a bad thing. It's just the way life is, and right. I think people get all upset. Well, I've known you since. I have a friend who I've known since like middle school, and unfortunately, her and I are totally different people, and I adore the shit out of her. But I'm a shitty friend, and I'm self-involved, and I'm selfish, and I have children and a family, and multiple passions, and she is a single woman, and she has her job, and I don't have all the time to be calling people and shit. My mom lives 5 minutes away from me. Do you know the last time I saw my mom was? For like 2 seconds last week. All right. It's not because I don't care. It's because I'm an adult. I'm self-involved, and I'm selfish, and it's not a bad thing. It's just the truth.
No, I totally get. Oh my gosh, it's really weird. You say a lot of stuff, and I'm like, yep, okay, wow, all right.
It's totally true, and I will admit it. Like, I never thought I would be a mom. I never wanted to be a mom. I became a mom, and then I became a stepmom. Like, these are not things I wanted, but I love it now. But I'm a very selfish person. I knew that from the very beginning of my life. I'm just a very selfish person, and it's not like me, my. It's just my brain doesn't function. And like sometimes moms need to be super selfless. I am very selfless when it comes to my kids. But if I get a phone call or an email from somebody saying, "Hey, can you come to Seattle and come perform?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll be on the next flight. Bye, kids."
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things when it comes to being a creative person, is that you do have to set up those boundaries. And I always say being creative as a hobby, I think everybody should do. I think because it's definitely a window into yourself. Sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. But you'll be a better person because of it. I can guarantee you that. It's going to be a rough road. But then there's folks who are performers, that it's not as a hobby. That's part of who they are.
Yeah.
And that is as cool as that sounds. You're dedicating your life, a big chunk of who you are, to nobody around you. It's to the world. It's to the audience, for whatever. And for me, this is in my crazy head that I'm like, if I don't get up there and perform, somebody needs to hear this joke. Somebody has to be entertained tonight. And if they don't do that, if I don't do my job, then something horrible is going to happen.
It's the FOMO, man. Yeah. It's the FOMO for me. It's like, if I don't get on that stage and do this act, maybe there's somebody in the audience that could change my life. They don't get that opportunity to put me on that show or put me on that stage. I'm like, yeah, FOMO, man. It's real as hell, especially for artists. You're always worried you're going to miss out on that one big opportunity if you don't do everything that's presented to you.
Totally.
Maybe that's another reason why people perform for free all the time too, because they feel like if they don't, there is going to be somebody behind them that's going to do it for free. And so I guess I should just do it because then I'll get the stage time. No, fuck that.
Yeah.
No, well, I'll spend that time working on other shit.
No, totally. And there's like how many million people in the city? You could always try to entertain a different crowd. It's possible. But no, I remember when I was in a really, really dark place in my youth, that there was a free concert. It was in Hayden Square. This is back in Tempe, Arizona. And it was Roger Clyne and the Peacemakers. Still, to this day, one of my favorite bands. And I was really, 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 really depressed at that point. And I'm like, all right, the concert had just started. It was on my way home, so I'll just go in there and watch it. It was such an amazing show, right? That this was Roger Clyne, the first band you guys might know him from, called The Refreshments. They had a couple of hits back in the 90s. If you ever listen to watch that show, King of the Hill, that theme song, they're the ones who did it. And he would even say, we used to be famous for a couple minutes back in the 90s, but now he basically makes his living just doing these smaller, selling out 500 to 1,000 seats, maybe sometimes 2,000 seats, depending on, how big the crowd is.
Yeah.
But that's all they do now. And he's like, I'm not trying to be famous anymore.
Yeah.
He just wants to perform for folks. And there was something that was so special when I saw that. Like, I found some meaning, and I didn't want to hurt myself anymore. I didn't want. I'm like, oh, it changed my life.
Yeah.
And so that's what I always think, that if I don't do that, and not that I'm like, I know it's grandiose but on the off chance that there was somebody, I always think about, what if he half-assed it that evening? He's like, it's a free show. I don't give a shit. I used to be famous, whatever. I don't even give a fuck. Instead of like putting his heart and soul into that performance, I might not have gotten that epiphany. I might not have, have seen that. So I always try to think like, no, that's the importance of putting in the show. That's how I make myself egotistical. Anyway. So
I leave that job up to others.
Yeah.
They give me the little boosts.
But oh my god, holy crap! Time always flies when we're talking, Sherry.
Because we just bullshit. We've had this conversation before. Like every time I've done your podcast, or even just talking in public, like you and I don't know what it is, but we can just like talk about the same shit, different shit, and it's good shit.
Yeah. Maybe it's all because we only talk to each other like once a year.
Oh, my bad. I'm a hard one to get a hold of.
No, that's not a critique. I'm saying it's weird. Like there's certain people that in your meeting you, I came up with a really cool a cool joke or two, like the part of the whole like dropping the IQ bit that I do and stuff like that. You're part of the inspiration for that. So that's cool. And there's a couple of other ones, but they're not funny yet, so I won't tell them. But it's really strange where I'm like, wow, it's weird sometimes you meet somebody and I'm like, oh, I don't know her, but I'm pretty sure I know her, And then when we talk and I'm like, oh, yeah, all right. We're like, all right, here. All right, cool. Well, same time next year? All right, awesome.
Yeah, let's do this. We should probably make the date now.
Yeah.
Because it won't happen.
Exactly. Hey, Cherry, just as a friendly reminder, in 6 months, we're going to be like, ooh.
Shit, honest to God, with the way my schedule's been, I have to go get another calendar for next year already because it is, but it isn't. I mean, it's a mixed blessing. My personal life, like with my boyfriend and my kids and stuff, it does, unfortunately, they take a backseat sometimes. But that's one of the awesome things about having such a supportive partner, that they understand, this is my love, is my passion. Because you're talking about like not wanting, they talk about not wanting to be famous anymore, like not necessarily like that wasn't your main goal. Mm-hmm. My main goal has never been to be famous. My main goal was to be able to live off my art.
Right.
I don't need the big, 7-bedroom mansion up in the hills or in Cherry Creek or whatever. I just want to be able to not have to worry about what I'm going to do to pay this bill this month.
Yeah.
That's my main goal. I want to be able to live and be happy and not be stressed all the time over bills. Bills are bills.
Happens,
well, I've got kids, so I'm always going to be stressed.
Yeah.
Surprised I still have hair. That's why I cut it all off, maybe, so it'd be less noticeable when it starts falling out. I have a lot of wigs, too, which helps. So.
Oh, nice.
Different girl for every season.
Who do you want this evening? Like, oh, God. Listen.
He's like, somebody who doesn't give me shit about leaving my underwear on the floor.
Yeah. She's like, hold on.
Too bad.
Fresh out of that wig. You're fucked. So.
Well, that's what happens when you're the only chick who lives with, all guys.
Right.
Yeah. And
you know what? For the longest time,
thank God I have my own bathroom.
I think my mom, she always wanted a daughter, right? For the longest time, and then my sister, when she finally had my sister, she was so excited. Unfortunately, they're good friends now, but they clashed on so much shit.
Oh yeah, I never wanted girls. Like I know how much of a cunt I was. I know, and God love girls. I love my sex. Like we're great. We're fucking awesome. But we are a pain in the ass to raise. When we're teenagers, we are horrible. We are absolutely horrible. And then with boys, they're horrible too, but they just want to be left alone.
Right.
And the worst part about having teenage boys is there's a shit ton of laundry I have to do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's not for that reason. It's just because they're pigs. Yeah. There's a lot of them. They smell bad.
I think what I've always been told is that girls are easier to raise up until they become teenagers, and then they're more difficult. But,
I don't know about
that. This is coming from like the dads we're talking about. So like, but they said boys are more difficult to raise when they're younger, but then they're easier when they become teenagers.
I don't agree with that at all. But that's just my point of view. I think having boys are awesome. Also, one of the great things about having boys is that I'm raising 3 men who won't be assholes to women. Or at least doing my fucking best.
Right.
I mean, I can't control what they do as an adult, but I will like take responsibility for them. Like, I'm gonna make sure that you know how to clean up your own shit.
No, that's totally important.
Take responsibility for your environment. It's a big deal for me.
Well, that's weird is that you're also gonna have to deal with like because when our brains or skulls are still soft at that point. And they're like, "Oh, I'm totally in love with this girl," and you're like, "Sweetie, she's a total bitch. All right, she's not good. She's not. You don't want that type of girl." Like,
oh my God, no, I've been there.
And you're like,
I've already been there.
Oh, really? Oh.
Well, the oldest is 17.
Okay.
And I mean, he just started living with Mark and I full time this school year, and he was at his new school for like all of 3 weeks before he got a girlfriend.
Oh wow. And
I don't know her. Good for him. Whatever. I met her once. Never said 2 words to her. Not that I was being a bitch. Just didn't happen.
Right.
She's cute though. She's really cute. Good job, Nick. But one of the things that ticked me off about the whole situation was that he was complaining about not having any money to take care of her.
What?
Like, you're fucking 17 years old. Who the hell are you supposed to be taking care of besides yourself? Nah.
He's trying to. Well, it's weird is that if guys don't know, I mean, all they have to go on is what they saw like on TV and stuff, and like, okay, money was really, really shitty for because of my day job for the past month, and I'm just beating myself up because I am, I know it's gonna sound gross, but I'm like, I'm the man. I should be pulling in more money. I should be doing all this other stuff like that. And Jenny's being supportive, but at the same time, I'm like, I appreciate you being supportive. Do me a favor, don't be that supportive.
Yeah.
He's like, why is this? Because like if I don't have this kind of masculinity pumping through me, like kicking myself in the nuts to try to get out there and make more money and do this stuff, then I will turn into the laziest piece of shit. Yeah. That's out there. So that stuff's kind of built into us for a reason, I guess. But
the thing is though, is he doesn't want to work for it.
Oh,
he wants to get a job, and I'm like, okay, you can get a job, but can you clean up your room?
Right.
Can you make your damn bed? Can you take the trash out or do the dishes? If you can't do these simple things, what makes you think that you can have an actual job?
Right.
And no, take care of your shit at home. I'll even give you an allowance, and that way you don't have to worry about it. But no, he doesn't think that those things are beneath him. I don't know. I don't get it. But I also didn't want to make my bed when I was his age either.
Yeah, neither. I still don't.
And I mean, I keep having to force myself to remember, you were a little dick too as a teenager. But all I can do is just keep, nagging him about it, and then maybe one day he'll get it. I don't know. Like, when I say nagging, I don't mean nagging. I'm just like, could you make your bed? I always say, before your dad gets home. Because Mark's not the authoritarian. I am. Right. But I'll put that little tail in there because when Mark gets home, he'll be like...
Right. Well, that's one of the things that's... Well, unfortunately, teenagers or all human beings are on this horrible drug.
Assholes.
Well, they're on either one of 2 horrible drugs, either estrogen or testosterone.
I love that.
So neither of those drugs promote rational thinking.
Oh, hell no.
So that's the reason why I'm like, wait a second, why am I 80 miles away from home? I have no money, and I don't even know. Wait, did I even get laid? No, I didn't. Why did this happen?
I know why I'm irrational, like all the time. Well, not all the time, but in like once a month.
Yeah.
I apologize for it all the time. Like, I know I'm being a bitch right now, and I'm sorry. I have no control over it. I want to, but I don't. I mean, it's the thing. As a girl, guys don't understand like the whole hormonal thing. It's a different aspect of the hormonal thing. So when we're being cunty and whiny and crying all the time, we don't want to be that way. Right. We don't want to do those things. So it's just I'm like, I'm so sorry. I know that I'm being this way, and I need a pint of ice cream, please.
There was this weird thing, and this is going to sound very insensitive of me, but it took me a long time to talking about like boundaries from earlier to like, okay, if this is how, and I rarely ever deal with Jenny's rarely ever like that, but in past relationships or and stuff, I'm like, okay, I get it, you're crazy, so this is still not acceptable, all right, because you're not going to treat me like a punching bag.
Oh, yeah.
You know, but there's a lot of guys that think that they have to, and I'm like, no, you can still give that person space, and that doesn't mean that you have to say, no, start being happy and stop ignoring your home. And that's not it at all.
No.
But the whole thing is that there are some folks, if you don't tell your partner that, like, no, you cannot treat me this way. I don't care what's happening. You can't throw shit at me. You can't call me every name in the book. You can't pick fights with me.
Yeah.
You know? I'll give you your space. If you're probably, like, if here's a good example, young fellas. If somebody's constantly getting on your case about cleaning up around the house, like the dishes, the trash, all that other stuff, the trigger for you to do any of that stuff should not be them getting pissed off.
Yeah.
Okay? If you can get that across your head, which I had to get that across my head, your life will be so much simpler. There's a difference between, like, making things as easy as possible when your sweetie is getting all hormonal and stuff, and then there's a difference of trying to fix it.
Yeah.
Don't try to fix it.
No.
That's not going to work well for you.
No.
So.
No. Well, one of the things that I learned.
Turn into an advice show,
I know.
Sorry.
Well, one of the things that Mark and I have talked about is that when you get home from your job, your work is not done.
Right.
You still have shit to do at the house. And I don't have a day job. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I homeschool my son. But I do all the laundry, I do dishes. But there are times where not all that shit gets done.
Right.
So, and Mark works really, really hard. He works really long hours. But when he comes home, he doesn't look at me and go, why didn't you do the dishes? Or why is this not done? And he knows that I might have had a horrible day trying to do schoolwork or productions or costuming or something just did not work to the point where I got the dishes done, you know?
He knows you well enough, like, oh, there's a like, if he comes in
Yeah.
and everything's a wreck, he's like, holy shit, she must have had a really rough
Yeah.
day.
So he never, like, turns it on me and says, why didn't you get this done? Why didn't you get, because he has no idea how my day was.
Right.
Same thing as for me. I don't know what his day was like. I'm not going to turn around him and be like, why'd you just dump all your shit in the middle of the floor? I'm not going to get on him for that because I don't know how hard his day was. He works his ass off. So, like, you got to pick and choose your little battles. And one of the most amazing things for me is if I did have a shitty day and he does the dishes for me. You know, like, or if he had a really shitty day, I will pick up his stuff off the floor and put his shoes away or whatever I need to do, you know, to clean up that area instead of barking at him and saying, why don't you pick up your shit?
Right.
I mean, there's the stupid little things that can make me want to give you the best head of your life, you know? It's the truth. It's the total truth. I'm just saying the reality of the situation. You want to get more head? Do the damn dishes.
It couldn't hurt.
It's the truth. There really is nothing sexier to a woman, in my opinion, than a man doing housework. Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Was that why Jenny's turned on all the time?
Yeah.
Oh. I thought it was my natural charm, but apparently just because I do dishes.
No, there's more than one way to, get what you want.
Sure. Well, so if for folks, because there was a couple of folks who were watching this as they were doing that, but they're going to be seeing this video. It'll be playing constantly for quite a while. So if you want to follow Cherry, you can follow her on Twitter at Cherry Pop Pop Pop. Right there. It's
not very entertaining, but you're more than welcome to check out. Check it out.
That's the same. Is that the same name on your Instagram?
I think it is. I think it's. I don't know. I'm not very good with this social media shit. If you Google me, though, I'm like the first 5 pages. You'll find everything on me on there.
You can find a bunch of videos. You can find a lot of her acts.
Yeah, I'm on YouTube. I'm on the gram, the Insta, on the Book of Face, even Snapchat.
Can I get a sexy pic? Yeah, but only
Hell
for 3
to
seconds.
the yeah.
But yeah, that's you can see a lot of her work out there. What's so cool is that you do a lot of geeky stuff, like your Napoleon Dynamite routine.
That's my first award-winning act was my Napoleon Dynamite. Yeah.
So there's a lot of cool stuff, man. Definitely check it out. And don't forget to check out or go to the denvercomedy.com or no, .net. Sorry, don't go to .com. That's an improv troupe. denvercomedy.net. You'll find that's the home of the DCPN, the Denver Comedy Podcast Network, and you'll find all the links to awesome podcasts in Denver, as well as past archives of this show, the Disjointed Podcast. So thank you so much for checking it out. And don't forget to follow, man. Hit that heart button We need all the follows we can get, and definitely give a Cherry a follow here on Twitter stuff. Let her know that you saw her on Twitch, and you're like, man, you're awesome. Thanks for almost showing us your boob. So,
thank you.
Signing off for the Disjointed Podcast, I'm Dave Germain.
I'm Cherry Pop Pop Poppins.
You guys have a great week.
Bye.